ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनच्छलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते राधानाथ स्वामी नामने नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी देश तारिणे। कम करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। हरि ओम तत्सत्। हरे कृष्ण। Just give me 1 minute. Hare Krishna. So I'd like to welcome everyone for the continuation of the 28th chapter of the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavat. This chapter is entitled Lord Kapila's Instructions on the Execution of Devotional Service. So if you remember, we began the discussion of this chapter last week. We discussed the first 10-12 verses. So we will continue from there. I had mentioned last week that we will aim to complete this chapter. I do not know whether I'll be able to complete it or not, but let us see. The reason being that this particular chapter is a very, very beautiful contemplation of the transcendental beauty of the beautiful divine spiritual form of the Lord, which is the object of meditation of the yogis and the bhaktas alike. Of course, the yogis follow a mechanical process to meditate on him, and the bhaktas, out of their natural love and affection, always have the transcendental image of the Lord within the core of their hearts. As the great acharyas say, that anointed with the salve of devotion, premanjana shrita bhakti vilochanena santaha sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. Of course, this is actually by Lord Brahma, the Brahma Samhita. Premanjana Churita, anointed with the salve, the kajal. What kind of kajal? Not the ordinary black kajal, but the kajal of devotion. Prema Anjana, Premanjana. Charita Bhakti Vilochanena, devotional vision. Santaha, the great saints. Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. They always see him within the deepest core of their hearts. Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That Shama Sundara, who's full of inconceivable transcendental beauty and qualities, that Lord I worship and serve. Govindam Adi Purusham, that original personality of Godhead. This is the prayer of Lord Brahma. So that is our goal. Krishna has already told Gita. In Gita, we were discussing with Arjuna. Krishna told, we will discuss this on Wednesday. Tasma sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyacha. Always remember me and perform the duties in this world. Fight, but don't forget me as you are fighting. Now that is possible only if we have deep love. Isn't it? So the photo of the Lord, because we cannot go and take a photo because we cannot see the transcendental form, but through the beautiful descriptions of the Bhagavat, the beautiful transcendental form of the Lord is painted in front of us, so that we can visualize it within the core of our hearts and establish it within the core of our hearts and hopefully carry it with us always within the core of our hearts. That is our aspiration. And that is the final perfection. Santaha sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. Great saints are able to see it in the innermost core of their heart. As we go deeper and deeper and deeper, first, we understand ourselves as consciousness. But as we go deeper and deeper, we understand that behind that conscious spark is the Paramatma, the supreme, unlimited, transcendental effulgence of the Lord. And as we go further deeper, we will understand even behind that effulgence, Satyasya apihitam mukham, is Govindam Adi Purusham. So when we go really, really deep inside, we can, as the last word in spiritual realization, realize the Supreme Personality of God. So this particular chapter is aimed at describing the yoga process. As a part of the yoga process, we are about to embark from verse 12 onwards into discussion of meditation on the lotus, on the transcendental beautiful form of the Lord. And as we discussed, when the process of yoga is being described, we discussed that this chapter is talking about Bhakti Mishra Yoga. It's not just yoga which is aimed at impersonal realization, Ashtanga Yoga. No, this is yoga aimed at achieving the lotus feet of the Lord. Ultimately aimed at devotion, even though the process adopted may be Ashtanga Yoga. So initially there is some element of bhakti, and that is why it is Bhakti Mishra Yoga. Eventually, when one culminates in the transcendental realization of the Lord through this process, one actually, as we discussed, naturally fall in love with the Lord. So simply by meditating on the transcendental form of the Lord, one can fall in love with Him. That is what this chapter says. So that is the beauty of the Lord. Just like, and this is true in the material world also. Of course, material world, this happens because of an illusory effect of Maya. Sometimes even if a person is not really attractive or beautiful, if we go on talking about him, her, again and again and again, gradually we develop attachment. Krishna says this principle in the Bhagavad Gita in the material world. Sanga sanjayate kamaha. So regular contact one develops some attachment. Similar principle is true for the spiritual life, that by regular contemplation of the Lord one develops attachment. But this attachment is not because of a mental trick or conditioning, but it is because the more one contacts with the Lord through absorption, the more one's material conditionings are burnt, and more one can perceive the beauty and grace and the divine qualities of the Lord. And more the Lord's attractive feature is revealed. Akarshati iti Krishna. Who's Krishna? He who's all attractive. Initially, it doesn't seem very attractive. Why? He's always attractive, but because our hearts are covered with so much material infection, just like a person who's suffering from jaundice cannot taste sugarcane juice as sweet, he actually tastes it as bitter. The problem was not in the sugarcane, the problem was in the tongue. But when one continues to drink the sugarcane juice, Swadvi Kramad, Swami explains this principle in Nectar of Instruction. When gradually the disease is cured at the root, and one develops his health back, and his natural attraction for the Lord awakens. So that is the process. So the third step in the Navavidha Bhakti. What is Navavidha Bhakti? Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Marchanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atmani Vedanam. Third is Smaranam, remembering the Lord, His form, qualities, activities, pastimes. Corresponds to the seventh step in the Dhyan process. The third in Bhakti corresponds to the seventh or the second last step in Dhyan. Because Dhyan is also meditation. Smaran is also meditation. Of course, the meditation of Smaran of the devotees is more natural. The devotees, even as they are moving around and going about doing their day-to-day duties, are able to carry the form of the Lord within their heart because of their intense love for Him. It's not that when Krishna would go to the cow herding pastures, and the gopis had to take out a picture of Krishna and look at him and try to remember him. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Okay. You can remember that after some time. Krishna. And we have to make an effort to focus, but they are carrying Krishna within their heart. They cannot forget him. That is their problem. So this is the result of natural love. And this love will come in the association of devotees when we regularly practice the necessary sadhana. But for those who are not so fortunate, as we discussed last time, this process of mechanically focusing one's mind on the transcendental form of the Lord is recommended, because through that, the Bhagavatam explains in this chapter that one is gradually purified of the contamination of the three modes. Just as the iron, which is naturally attracted to a magnet, when it is covered over by rust, the magnetic power seems to be reduced. The magnetic power or influence of attraction seems to be reduced. One has to remove the rust. The magnet again very rapidly gets attracted. Similarly, the heart actually naturally is attracted towards the Lord in its pure state. But contaminated by the three modes of material nature, currently, we are struggling to be attracted to the Lord. That is our ill fortune, isn't it? How many of us are actually naturally and spontaneously attracted to the name, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord? If we have a genuine attraction for the name, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord, we will always choose that over any other, given a choice. But for us, occasionally we get a little glimpse of attraction in the association of devotees, and then it disappears. And then all other things seem more attractive than the Lord. So it's a slow process. And as we apply ourselves to the process of sadhana in Krishna consciousness, gradually that original attraction is awakened through the process of Cheto Darpanamarjanam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains this in the Shikshashtaka. Cheto Darpanamarjanam Bhavad Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. That the mirror of the heart is cleansed through Krishna's Nama Sankirtana. And very beautifully in the second verse of the Shikshashtakam, Lord Chaitanya, who is Krishna himself, is expressing our situation in this material world by saying, Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrar Pita Niyamita Smarane Nakalaha Eta Drishi Bhagavan Tavakrapa Mamapi Durdaiva Midrusham Ihaja Ninanuraga. Oh Lord, you have so many beautiful names which are invested with all your spiritual potencies, and you are naturally so attractive. But just see my ill fortune. The devotee is praying. Of course, Lord Chaitanya is saying this in the mood of a devotee. He's saying, just see my ill fortune, O Lord. That even though you are so attractive, your name is full of all power, your name is so attractive, my ill fortune is, I have no attraction for your name. So that is our sad condition. We have philosophically accepted the Lord as beautiful, but the Lord is still not charming our heart. That means the infection is still very severe. So what we have to do? Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Continue the process of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Read the Srimad Bhagavat, worship the deities, hear the glories of the name, form, quality, pastime of the Lord and his devotees in the association of sincere devotees. All these are very powerful means. Visiting the Holy Dham, honoring Krishna Prasad, these are all very powerful means by which one can get the grace of the Lord. And ultimately by serving the devotee and getting his blessings. That is supremely important. So here the process is described because through this process, one will gradually develop that attraction. Because what is it that is stopping us from being firmly established in remembering the Lord? It's very simple, isn't it? Does it require a lot of deep analysis? The analysis is actually very simple. The simple reason is we are not sufficiently attracted to the Lord. Is it very difficult to imagine that if we are deeply in love with someone, isn't that person always in our mind, either in the forefront or in the background? We never quite forget them, isn't it? So if we are only remembering some person sometimes, occasionally, what does that mean? That means that person isn't yet so close to our heart. Yes. So mothers, husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends can relate to this. Of course, here we are talking about ananya. Ananya means fixed focus on one. We're not talking about boyfriend, girlfriend, where, morning I remember one, afternoon I remember another one, evening I remember another one. Kevala bhakti, ananya bhakti, ananyas chintayanto mam. So that is only possible through love. And this love is a cultivation. This bhakti is a cultivation. It is to be expected that at this point in our spiritual life, we wouldn't have that attraction. So if you're feeling I have no attraction, please don't feel frustrated. This is the normal condition of conditioned life. So what should we feel? We should feel like what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying. Durdaiva midrusham iha janina nuraga. At least that much we can feel. If we are serious. What does that mean? We are feeling sad that I have no attraction for Krishna. Oh Krishna, I am so unfortunate, I have no attraction for you. That is a very good beginning. And that hankering, Radhanath Maharaj always says, many times he repeats, is a very fond of saying this. Somebody asked him, I have no attraction for Krishna. Then you should, some people say you should cry for Krishna. But I have no attraction for Krishna. Maharaj, what should I do? Then you should cry so that you can cry for Krishna. You cannot cry for Krishna, no? So you should cry so that you can cry for Krishna. But Maharaj, I cannot even cry that I want to cry for Krishna. Then you should cry that you cannot cry to cry for Krishna. You understand? At some place, we must feel that I really want this, but I am just so incapable. And no matter what level we are situated in our devotional evolution, if we cry at that level, Krishna will still hear us, see our sincerity, and pull us up. Tesham aham samuddarta mrityu samsara vartmani bhavamina achirat partha maya veshita chetasam. That is Krishna's guarantee. So don't worry. Sometimes when we come to spiritual life, we hear so many wonderful, amazing things. If you know, I have no attraction, let me give up. But no. At least philosophically, we should be convinced, based on the message of the Gita, Bhagavatam, and the great souls, that this is indeed so wonderful that if only I can develop this attraction, this development of attraction is the sure means to drive away all other attractions of this world. So we are, the yogis and the jnanis are trying so hard to be detached. But the Krishna Bhakta is very smart. He knows there's only one formula, which is a perfect solution for all other problems, which is to develop intense attraction to the Lord. Raso varjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Param drishtva nivartate. Even though there are so many attractions, once one gets attracted to the all attractive, all other attractions fade away. And we'll be discussing a bit more about that as we go on. I want you to have that broader perspective before we get into the details. Otherwise, you'll not understand what is the value of this beautiful meditation. So please do not take, we are going to go into the details of the description of the form of the Lord. Please do not take this as a sentimental description. The transcendental form of the Lord is real and eternally existing. Point number one. Please do not think that this is an artist's impression or an imagination of some old sages to try to carve out some attractive form of what we think as an anthropomorphological form. No, the transcendental form of the Lord is eternal. It is not that we have designed God's form according to our form. The scriptures say that God designed us, meaning the human form, to be a replica like his form. So it's not the other way around. And this is not just in the Vedic tradition, even in the Christian tradition, they say this. God made man in his own image. So we accept that because that is the verdict of the Vedas as well. And that is why this human form is so precious, because this human form is that image. And that is why in this human form, the Lord gives us the necessary intelligence and the body equipped to make spiritual advancement, to be able to develop our consciousness to a point that we can develop a direct relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's very interesting. So first, this transcendental form of the Lord that we are going to be discussing, as revealed by Lord Kapila, who's the object of meditation both for the Ashtanga yogis as well as the Bhaktas, is not an imaginary form. It is an eternally existing spiritual form. Sat Chid Ananda Vigraha, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda, Sarvakarana Karanam. Krishna's body is not made of the Panchamahabhut, Mana, Buddhi, Ahankar. Satchidananda Vigraha. Fully spiritual, transcendental, not affected by the modes of nature. Nirgun. Sometimes the word Nirgun and Nirakar is used to refer to the Lord. The Nirgun and Nirakar doesn't mean that God is formless and qualityless. It means that the Lord doesn't have a material form and doesn't have material qualities influenced by the modes of Sattva, Raja, Tama. The Lord is transcendental. That is why Satchidananda is Nirgun and Nirakar. But there is a spiritual form which is beyond space and time. So this form is very real, and yogis in deep meditation have actually perceived this form. In fact, in some of the pastimes, like in the pastime of Dhruva, this form of the Lord that Dhruva was meditating on, suddenly the form disappeared from the heart. He was bewildered, where is he? Where is he? And he opened his eyes and the form had come out and manifested. So hopefully for us one day that happens. Suddenly we see this form that we are meditating suddenly comes in front of our eyes in its original transcendental. Because even one glimpse of this form will totally rob us of all inauspiciousness. It will steal our heart. That is why the Lord is also known as Hari. Hari means he who steals. What does he steal? He steals away all inauspicious things from our heart. And then finally, after the heart has become soft and pure like butter, he steals the butter of our heart. It becomes makhanchor. The pure, soft, white heart he will steal. Hari. That is this beautiful prayer, Chaurashtakam, where the devotee prays, "Oh Krishna, please come and steal my heart." So these are very beautiful esoteric things, and this is the ultimate pinnacle of aspiration, because ultimately the existence of the soul as a part and parcel of the supreme, absolute, transcendental Satchidananda Lord is for the purpose of eternally experiencing this rapture of devotional ecstasy, of this beautiful devotional exchange of ras with Satchidananda Vigraha, Sri Bhagavan. And the process begins here by continuously connecting to the Lord through the process of yoga. For us, of course, through bhakti. For others, they may try to go step by step through Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. Herein, the Lord is describing about Ashtanga Yoga. But for us, the simple process is simply by hearing and chanting Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnoho, can very rapidly develop that attraction for them. So having said this, let us start with the discussion. In this chapter, already the Lord has described the Ashtanga Yoga, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. 8 limbs. We discussed the first 6 limbs and how they serve various functions. Again, like what we mentioned, it is not a buffet that you choose what you want. You have to go through them sequentially because they develop on top of one another. The previous ones being foundational to subsequent development. Gradually, when the mind becomes purified, one comes, the body and the mind both become purified through asana, pranayam, pratyahar, and dharana. The chakras and the energies become purified, the nervous system becomes purified, the body is purified, then the mind can actually focus. If you simply jump, if the yogis simply jump to dhyan, they'll be fiddling in their asana, be paining here, paining there. The mind will be going here and there. How to meditate like this? That's why Kali Yuga meditation is a sham. Because people jump to dhyan without following yam niyam, asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana. How to focus the mind on the Lord? It's practically impossible. The mind is closed, but another TV is playing behind, rather than focus on the form of the Lord. So the Lord has described, Lord Kapila has described that all mental disturbances are removed and up to this point by the yogi, just like gold when it is put into fire and fanned with air, all the impurities get removed. All the physiological conditions, all the sinful activities, and the mind becomes restrained from material association through pratyahar. Then gradually, by focusing the mind on the spiritual form of the Lord, one becomes detached from the three gunas. So that is the process. So the process begins with description of the Lord by saying that when the mind is purified like this, the yogi should concentrate on the tip of his nose and then meditate on the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, there are different explanations given as to why tip of the nose, and all that. We don't have time to get into all those details. But a very simple explanation is if you keep your eyes wide open, you'll get distracted outside. If you keep your eyes fully closed, you'll probably sleep and you will think you are meditating. So when your eyes are slightly open and you focus on the point of the Nasagra Drishti, one is in a better situation to focus and at the same time not being distracted. So first, actually this chapter contains two broad sections. The first section is where an overview of the transcendental form of the Lord is given, of the bodily features. You can see in today's background, I've added on top of the usual background, the picture of the yogi meditating. So roughly that is the form that we are talking about. I just put it so you can relate. I don't know how clearly you can see the features there, but you can Google up this image as well. You can just type in yogi meditating on Vishnu or something like that, and you should be able to find this image. It's a very beautiful image. It's from the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a BBT image, which is precisely showing what this chapter is talking about. How the yogi should meditate on the Lord. So the first part, like what I said, is about the overall description of the transcendental form of the Lord. And then Lord Kapila says, this is the overall description, but the actual process of dhyana is to not go and directly meditate on the full form of the Lord, but to meditate on each and every limb of the Lord gradually in sequence, in full absorption. And it takes a shloka, practically each, for every one limb by describing its glory, how it looks, how it appears. The feet of the Lord, how they appear, his thighs, how they appear, his chest, how it appears, his arms, his smile, his nose, his eyes. Each and every part is described, his glory, his beauty. So it's a very, very beautiful meditation. So that's why I felt that we should not go through this fast, because this is not just some sentimental description. This is not just some fantastic imagination. This is the transcendental form that we want to focus our mind on. So let us not rush through it too fast. So that's why I have no idea how long it will take. But never mind. At least as we are going through these verses, at least in our own consciousness, we can absorb our mind, the beautiful descriptions of these various limbs of the Lord's transcendental form. And that way, take them deep into our heart and hope and pray that they remain inside and don't go out. That way we can assemble the form of the Lord, the different components, and capture them in our heart. So verse 13 onwards, this description starts. So he starts by describing the overall form by saying, Lord Kapila is telling this to Devahuti, his mother. He says that the Lord is always having a very beautiful face, which is always cheerful, with slightly reddish, ruddy colored eyes. reddish, especially at the edges. Such fine description is there. Very, his eye color is black in case you're interested. He's not blonde or he's not having blue eyes. His eye color is very black. Eye meaning the cornea, not the cornea. What do you call it? Cornea is it? And then, but the sides is reddy color. The reddish color is like the interior of a lotus, and his body is described. His bodily overall form is described very swarthy. I don't know how to describe this word. His bodily form and his overall shape, even though it is very masculine, it also has a beautiful artistic elegance in it and a delicateness in it. Nowadays, the term that we would use in modern day language, I don't know whether it would be appropriate to use in the Lord's context, but since we probably understand that terminology better, nowadays the common terminology for that is swag. I don't know how many of you understand this term swag. I got introduced to it relatively recently. The Lord, His presence, His movements carries a certain beautiful swag, kind of beautiful presence and elegance. And His overall body, it resembles the petals of a blue lotus. Why blue lotus? Because that's how His complexion is. Actually, so many parts of the Lord's transcendental body can be compared to a lotus flower. His hands are compared to a lotus flower, his feet are compared to a lotus flower, his eyes are compared to a lotus flower. Sometimes his navel is compared to a lotus flower, his face is compared to a lotus flower. So there are said to be many, many lotuses on the Lord's body. So overall, this beautiful swarthy body looks like the petals of a blue lotus. And he looks so beautiful, carrying the Shankha, Chakra and Gada in 3 of his hands. Of course, the 4th one is lotus. So the lotus-like Lord is also carrying a lotus. So you can see that beautiful form behind. So beautiful. And the Lord's lower part of his body, his thighs and legs, are covered by a shining, beautiful yellowish colored cloth having the color of the filament of a lotus. And now many of us, some of these comparisons, because we are not familiar so much with the lotus, we may not be able to relate. But this is what the Bhagavatam says. So if you're curious, when you get the opportunity next time to see a lotus flower, please look at it, bring it home, look at the Bhagavatam and compare. Then you will get to know the exact shades that the Bhagavatam is talking about. And on the chest of the Lord, he bears the Shrivatsa mark, which is actually a curl of white hair in the middle of his chest. That mark, Shrivatsa mark, represents Goddess Lakshmi. The Lord, Goddess Lakshmi also resides on the heart. She's so close to the Lord. Even though she's massaging his feet, she's also residing on his heart. And also on the Lord's heart, along with Lakshmi, is what? Kaustubha gem. The Kaustubh gem is a very, very special ornament exclusive to the Lord. Very beautiful shining gem, which is suspended and is just around the heart of the Lord. Acharyas have explained that the Kaustubh gem represents the sum total of all the living entities, the jivas, who are very close to the heart of the Lord. So both Lakshmi, the Lord's consort, is dear, as well as the Kaustubha gem, which represents all the jivas. They are very close to the Lord's heart because they are all ultimately parts and parcels of the Lord. The Lord also around his neck wears a very beautiful vanamala. So it's a very beautiful garland. In fact, the garland is so beautiful and fresh always. Unfortunately for us, when we wear flowers within half an hour, the flowers will start. Probably for some of us, our energy itself is so not so divine that the flowers quickly wilt away. Actually, this is the truth. That for those who are more advanced, the flowers remain fresh on their body for a longer time. But those who have exude an energy which is not so pure, the flowers on their body wilt faster. Anyway, I don't have time to go into this, but this is another very beautiful thing. But the flowers on the form of the Lord, of course, they are spiritual flowers, but they are described as ever fresh. The fragrance never fades. Of course, flowers in the spiritual world neither fade nor does fragrance go. And it said there are bees humming around, enjoying the delicious aroma of exuded by the flowers in the Lord's garland. Along with that, the Lord also has a beautiful pearl necklace. So he has the Kaustuba gem. He also has a pearl necklace. So the Lord does wear pearls. He has a beautiful crown. He has armlets, bracelets, and anklets. See, now since the scriptures describe this, usually where you'll see that either on the deity of the Lord or the alankars that are put on the Lord, you will see all these ornaments placed on the Lord. There'll be the armlets, there'll be the bracelets, there'll be the crown, there'll be anklets. So even at home when we worship the deities, usually a part of our alankar will also have these beautiful ornaments. Of course, again, needless to say, these are all spiritual in nature, so they are all absolutely priceless. Because they're all Satchidananda, not made of the gold and the metals of this world. The Lord's waist and hip area, even though it is covered with beautiful pitambara, it is also covered with a beautiful belt. You can call it like a girdle, which encircles the Lord's hips. I think you can see it in this picture as well. And he stands on the lotus of his devotee's heart. You can see in this picture right behind me. Standing on the lotus. What lotus is this? The lotus of the devotee's heart. The heart of the living entity is compared to a lotus. And our job is to invite the Lord and make him sit on the lotus. The problem right now is our heart is like this. The heart is closed, like a lotus which is not bloomed. When the lotus has not bloomed, the lotus beauty is not apparent, its fragrance is not coming out. So our first job meaning spiritual job, is to work towards blooming the lotus of the heart through the process of cleaning, Cheto Darpanamarjanam. So the development of consciousness from Sankuchit to Mukulit, then Vikasit, Purna Vikasit. There are 4-5 steps which are explained as the gradual blooming. Sankuchit being the most contracted consciousness, then just budding, then opened and fully bloomed. They are like stages in the blooming of the lotus. Now, of course, that is not described here. I'm just giving some additional information contextually. That our consciousness needs to bloom, and when the lotus actually opens, then our heart becomes a suitable place to invite and for the Lord to come and sit like what we see here. The point that we are trying to make here is the Lord doesn't like to come and sit in a dirty place. When the heart becomes like the lotus, the Lord will come and He will stay there. And that is what we want. So it is our duty as spiritual sadhakas blossom our consciousness in a way that the heart will actually become an attractive place for the Lord to come and reside. So this form of the Lord who is standing like this on the lotus of the devotee's heart is so beautiful to look at. He is so serene. The Lord looks so peaceful and blissful and happy always. We are sometimes happy, we are sometimes in a frustrated, irritated mood. We are angry. The Lord is always very blissful. He has a perpetual smile on his face. Of course, sometimes he especially smiles, and that smile is also described later. But he generally has a very beautiful, charming smile ever present on his lips. And his devotees, those who behold this particular beautiful, serene form, it gladdens the heart, the souls, and the eyes of the devotees. Behold him in such a way. The Lord's form is eternally beautiful. The Lord's form doesn't decay. It is not that after 1,000 years, the Lord would have some white hair, would have developed some wrinkles. And we have to say, see, now it is so much longer. Now the Lord would also have to change the form of the Lord to make him look a bit older. Do we do that? Even when we see pictures from the Mahabharata, when we see Krishna, we see Bhishma who has grown old. We see Krishna as old. Lord Krishna lived on this planet. His appearance, his Leela was for 125 years. But he always looked not more than 24 years of age. Doesn't look more than 24 years of age, even up to the very end of his manifest past. So he is ever youthful and is worshipable by the inhabitants of every planet. And in that beautiful form, the Lord is always eager to bestow his blessings upon his devotees. Just like parents, they are always very eager and affectionate to shower all their love and blessings on their children. The Lord, who holds all his children so close to his heart, is always eager to bestow blessings. That's why sometimes the Lord is also known as Varadaraj, the king of the blessers. The Lord enjoys. In fact, we have discussed so many pastimes where the Lord insists to his pure devotees, please ask, please ask. He did so for Dhruva, he did for Prahlad. Many of us are sad he's not doing for us. The Lord is not insisting, please ask, please ask. Sudhir Sundar Prabhu, what do you want? Please ask. Gaur Chandra Das, what do you want? Please ask. Why the Lord is not doing that? Because he knows we don't know what to ask for. We'll ask for something silly. And that is what Dhruva tells the Lord, oh Lord, I don't want. Because I wanted something, now I realize I wanted the wrong thing. And the Lord said, no, now your heart is already purified, so ask. Now you can ask. That time you would have asked for the wrong thing, but now you will not ask for the wrong thing. And he asked for the most perfect thing, that may my consciousness always be perfectly absorbed in this transcendental form. May I never forget you. That is the ultimate blessing. Because within that blessing, all other perfection is contained. Because that is the eternal constitutional position of the living entity. So Lord Kapila continues describing this beautiful form. And then he says that this beautiful Lord with his glories are always worth singing. And along with the glories of the Lord, also the glories of the devotees are worth singing. Because they are in connection with him. Because the Lord is never alone, isn't it? The Lord is always with his energies and his devotees. The Lord doesn't like to be alone. Even when the Lord descends into this world in his various incarnations, he comes with his energies and his devotees. In fact, when Lord Krishna decided to come on earth, he sent so many of his associates first. He sent his holy abode of Vrindavan, Govardhan, Yamuna to prepare for his advent, because the Lord is not happy if he's alone. He always wants. The Lord is also very social. He's not a loner. So it is natural for us to also be social. That is the nature of the soul. That's why this impersonal Brahman merging is actually something which is unnatural for the soul. It is natural for the soul to be in the presence of the Lord and in the presence of the other part and parcels together, loving and serving the Supreme Personality of God. So one should meditate on such Supreme Personality of Godhead as well as his devotees. And one should meditate on this form of the Lord until the mind is fixed. Okay, so point one is we meditate on what is described so far, what Lord Kapila is saying, until the mind is fixed. So first, by meditating on this description, gradually the mind becomes fixed, and there is some development of attraction and some elimination of the qualities of material qualities. And then when the mind becomes fixed, then one can be even more absorbed in the form of the Lord. At that point in time, one goes one more step ahead in the process of meditation. And Lord Kapila describes that once the mind becomes fixed by this overall form of the Lord, then merged in devotion to the Lord, the yogi should visualize this particular form. If one wants, one can visualize him standing like this on a lotus flower, or if he prefers to meditate on the Lord, sleeping. What form of the Lord is sleeping? The Lord Garbhodakshay Vishnu. The Lord sleeps also. It's so elegant, so beautiful to meditate. When we sleep, if somebody takes a picture of us when we are sleeping, it will be such an ugly thing to see. Some of us with our mouth open, emanating the mode of ignorance from all the pores of our body. But the Lord in his yoga nidra, of course, this meditation on the Lord can be done. Here it is described of the four-armed form of the Lord, but one can meditate. Those who are devotees of Krishna, specifically, they can meditate on Lord Gopinath, Govinda, with his flute. So here it is said, or somebody is attached to Lord Ram Chandra, he can meditate. Any one of the forms of the Lord who are described. Here the Vishnu Murti is described because typically the yogis who meditate on the Paramatma, and the Paramatma is conceived as a Vishnu Murti. This is the form that is recommended. But for us, we can contemplate on any of the transcendental forms. Of course, preferably the form of Shri Krishna, especially as Shama Sundara. Shama Sundaram Achunta Gunaswarupam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham. But here the description is specifically on the four-armed form. But much of this description in terms of his beauty and the qualities is still applicable to Krishna's forms also, because at the end of the day, it's the same person manifesting slightly different forms to manifest different leelas. So one can meditate on the form of the Lord in various ways. The Lord can be seen standing, the Lord can be seen lying down. Some people like to meditate on the Lord like this. We went to Padmanabh Swami, the Lord is lying like this on Ananta Shesha, and Lakshmi Devi is serving his feet. The lotus is coming from his navel. So in the south of India, many places devotees would prefer to meditate like that. They like to meditate on the Garbhotakashayi Vishnu. That's fine. Some like to see him sitting down. Which form of the Lord is typically meditated in a sitting down form? Anyone? So So sometimes we can visualize the form of Lord Ram Chandra seated on the throne. So some people may want to meditate on that. Some devotees may want to worship Lakshmi Narasimha Dev, where Narsinga is seated on the throne and Lakshmi Devi is seated on his left lap in the form of Lakshmi Narasimha. So there are various forms. And the devotee, based on his mood, as long as he picks up the authentic form of the Lord, can meditate on the Lord standing or even moving, lying down or sitting. Because all these pastimes of the Lord are said to be very, very beautiful and attractive. And then Lord Kapila says, now having established and decided what form to meditate, when the mind has become fixed, the yogi should now not take a collective view of the Lord's entire body, but now he should start fixing his mind on each and every limb of the Lord. That is the process of meditation. So initially, one meditates on the overall form with Nasagra Drishti. That helps to remove the qualities and the material qualities and further purify the mind until the mind is able to be absorbed in the form without much distraction. And then one starts gradually meditating from the feet of the Lord. One doesn't go straight to the face. Said when one meditates on the Lord, one starts from the Lord's lotus feet, then gradually elevates his meditation up to the face. And this is described in various places in the Bhagavat, this kind of a meditation. Here it is described in much wonderful detail as well. So that is the process. So verse 21 onwards. So we have covered only 8 verses so far today. Hopefully you did not find my description too lengthy. If you feel that I am going into too much detail, let me know. But I felt that it is nice to contemplate on the Lord's transcendental form as we go through these verses. So verse 21 onwards, we will now gradually go into meditation on every limb of the Lord and appreciate its transcendental spiritual aesthetics, its beauty, and also its glory. So that is the beautiful meditation. And the beauty is that each limb of the Lord, even though not all the limbs, that glory is very, very specifically explained here in that much detail, but for certain limbs of the Lord, there are very specific benefits of meditating on certain specific limbs of the Lord. I personally like to meditate on the Lord's lotus feet, and I like to meditate on his eyebrows. Now, why? We will discuss that later. Later meaning next week, because that is described here. First time when I heard about meditation on the Lord's eyebrows, I was thinking this is so awkward and so strange. Meditating on somebody's eyebrows, what kind of a meditation is that? But that is actually a very, very beautiful meditation. And there is a very deep reason for that. We'll discuss that in the next class. But all these beautiful components of the Lord's bodies are described very beautiful. Also, his ayudhas are described very beautifully. And then the fruit of this meditation is described, and how the transcendentalist, the yogi, becomes purified through this meditation. What is his consciousness? What is his absorption? And how he transcends material existence is mentioned in the rest of the chapter. So we have come to roughly halfway. This chapter is around 44 verses. So next week we will just under half. So next week onwards, we will start from text 21. So we have completed 20 out of 24 after 2 classes. So I will stop here. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. So any questions or comments? And please let me know if you think I'm going too slow or should I go faster.
This is good, Prabhuji. So we are able to understand.
Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, this is nice. For us also it is helping to meditate while chanting.
Thank you.
I also understand. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay, good. Good, thank you. Yeah, so the whole idea was that as we go through this, we are actually, nowadays it is common to walk through a meditation where somebody is speaking and all the audience is listening and being walked through the meditation. So that was the idea. So in that way, when we do it in the association of devotees, that meditation, hopefully, because I'm not so pure, but somehow by the Lord's grace, if we are sincere, then that form will slowly enter our heart and become established there. So that's the idea. So that's why I don't want to rush through this. And we shouldn't, because like they said, when the yogi's mind becomes fixed, he doesn't rush through the Lord's form. In fact, there's a specific instruction, don't rush. One limb, focus, meditate, absorb.
Prabhu, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure, Gangotri.
Prabhu, when you say the lotus of, we open the lotus of our heart to, then we can have the Lord reside in, or see the Lord in that sense. Okay, my question is there a case like maybe a person has reached that level and then after that, maybe due to some contamination, he loses that? And so does the Lord, or is it like once the Lord is already there, he never leaves?
So that stage of, until the devotee becomes 100% pure from material infection, theoretically there is a chance for a fall down. Of course, usually it is very rare for a devotee beyond the stage of ruchi and beyond. Usually it is very difficult that they will fall down, and even if they fall down, it is either usually it is because of offenses. Asakti bhav is very rare. The very rare cases like Bharat Maharaj, who at the stage of bhava fell down. But in theory, it is possible, and scriptural examples are there. But when the consciousness becomes Purna Vikasit means fully bloomed lotus. That means prema has already developed. Once prema has developed, from bhava one goes to prema, then there is no reversal. Prema is a irreversible process. So bhava is like almost fully bloomed, but not yet 100%. So once that 100% point is reached, then there is no question of fall down. Any other question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Sundar.
Prabhu, I just want to get some clarification. Okay, in this particular explanation, you what is that saying that as far as the yogi is concerned, he has to meditate in what each and what limb of the Lord itself. So for a practicing devotee like us, because in what is there, some other context it is mentioned that we will go into doing favor to the Lord, and then we'll be remembering Him. So so in our case, which is recommended, because it's extremely challenging at times to even sort of meditate on the form of the Lord. And here it is more on example, giving that we should focus on each limb and so on. So I just wanted to clarify this part. Thank you.
Yeah. So like what? Okay. So while the process externally for Ashtanga and Bhakti Yoga may be different in terms of how exactly it is executed, some of the principles are still very true. And what is that principle? The principle that is mentioned here is until the mind is purified properly, it is not possible to focus the mind on the Lord. Okay, so that is very clearly mentioned here. It is true for any type of yogi. Why? It's not something different for Ashtanga yogi and different for us. So yes, just because we have, bhakti yogis, of course, we are still in a neophyte stage. We are still sadhakas. We are not very absorbed, so we are unable to establish meditation on the Lord's form. So for us, in the process of bhakti, for us, at least at our stage, it is not specifically recommended to sit and meditate on the forms like this. That is not necessary. Our meditation is to meditate through the process of hearing and chanting. So right now, like what we were meditating, what we were doing Shravana, and when we were doing Shravana, we see through the Shravana. We meditate and absorb through the Shravana. So when we are absorbed in hearing the description of the Lord, that is the meditation that we are absorbed in. So that is one kind of meditation for us. When we are chanting the holy names of the Lord, it is said at an advanced stage of chanting the holy names, the form and the qualities of the Lord automatically manifest from the holy name and become the object of meditation. So that is at an advanced stage. But what we can do at the stage of sadhana for us to develop some attraction to the Lord is to meditate. Not necessarily, when I say meditate, not necessarily sitting in an Ashtanga position meditate, but spend some time in being absorbed or contemplating on the Lord's deity form. In fact, the Lord has so kindly appeared in his deity form because we are unable in our present condition to perceive and absorb ourselves in the transcendental form of the Lord. So the Lord has assumed a Saguna Rupa, even though he's originally Nirguna without material qualities. He has assumed the Saguna Rupa of a deity which is made of material elements, and he has transformed that deity into his own transcendental form, so that with the material eyes we can look at him, and by seeing him get the benefit of seeing actually the Lord. So that is the Lord's kindness. So what we can do is that we can absorb our consciousness in contemplating and absorbing the mind in the deity form of the Lord. That's why even when we take darshan of the Lord, the darshan of the Lord should never be taken in haste. Yeah, sometimes we see, even in especially materialistic people, when they go to temple, they just go quickly, they just have a glimpse. They're not interested in actually seeing the deity in any great detail. They just go there quickly, whatever they want to ask, they'll pray, quickly take prasad and go and say, oh, done, I have done. But this is not how the devotee wants. The devotee wants to be in front of the Lord and meditate on the beautiful transcendental form of the Lord. The darshan is taken by first looking at the lotus feet of the Lord, gradually going through his calves, his thighs, his waist, his abdomen, his chest, his arms, his neck, his chin, his lips, his face, his eyes, his forehead, his crown. That is how one is. So in that way, one can meditate for us as sadhakas. No need to put a picture of the Lord in the front and then close the eyes and meditate. You can absorb, you can look at the deity form or a picture of the deity form of the Lord, or even pictures like this for that matter, which are painted by the devotees. And try to absorb the mind and take all these divine images into our heart. That's a very beautiful contemplation. And that is very purifying. And that helps develop attachment to the transcendental form of the Lord. That is why darshan of the Lord in the deity form is very, very beneficial. And one will see that if we contemplate even for a few minutes every day on the limbs of the transcendental form of the Lord, one will see how the heart is gradually becoming more and more attracted to the Lord, and how the attraction to material things is actually diminishing. One will see the fever decrease. This is a fact.
But
So
it's
this
so
is what we
sad.
can do. Yeah, Madhu.
Sorry, it's so sad. But we go to the big temples like Tirupati and all, we don't even get a chance to get a
Yeah,
proper.
it's sad, yeah, because yeah, what to do? But anyway, the Lord is not limited to Tirupati. So yeah, Tirupati we cannot spend a long time. So there are so many beautiful forms. Of course, in Tirupati, the transcendental form of the Lord is covered with so much jewelry and decoration that we can barely see most of the form. Devotees are, especially, Krishna's devotees, they are more interested in seeing Krishna's transcendental limbs than seeing the decorations. Our mood is that the ornaments become beautiful by being on the Lord's body. Not that the ornaments are making the Lord beautiful. The ornaments become more beautiful by being on the Lord's body. The Lord's body is the most beautiful ornament. So that's how you want to meditate. For me personally, I like the Lord's Shayan Darshan more than the Shringar Darshan. Because in the Shayan Darshan, the Lord is wearing less clothes and less jewelry. So we can see the form of the Lord more. And I personally feel that that is more beautiful. And that is more attractive for my heart, because then I can meditate on the limbs of the Lord, because I can see them more clearly rather than being covered with so many flowers and jewelry. And that is also nice, but because the Lord's limbs are more beautiful than the jewelry. So, to answer Sudhir Sundar Prabhu's question, yeah, we can meditate on the Lord's deity form. That is a good meditation. And that meditation can be done sitting in front of the deity, taking darshan, standing, taking darshan. Even sometimes when we are doing japa in front of the deities, we can focus on the lotus feet of the Lord and chant. And we can meditate on the Lord's feet and as we are chanting. If you are sitting in front of the temple. Of course, Prabhupada did not recommend that while chanting one necessarily has to do that. That is not the process of sadhana. But if one is in the temple and one is looking at the deities, then that is one way to do it. Many devotees do like that as well. That helps them focus their mind. Other than that, our meditation is on the form of the Lord, on the name, form, qualities, and pastimes through the process of being absorbed in hearing. So most temples, Gotri Mata is saying, are not. So go to temples which allow you to stand in front. In ISKCON Jagannath Mandir and in ISKCON, most temples, you can go and stand in front of the deity for hours. Nobody will bother you. So, yes, I would love, when I was staying in Radha Gopinath temple, I would love to go for the Shayan Darshan in the evening, because there will be very few people and just standing there in peace, the Shayan Darshan for half an hour, just sit in front of the Lord, chant and be absorbed in meditating on the various limbs of the Lord. Very beautiful. Okay, any other question? Okay then. Yeah, so thank you very much. We will continue the chapter. I think next session we should be able to complete this chapter. Hopefully. Let's see if we can. Yeah, but I hope you're okay with the pace, and the next session is even more beautiful because it goes into the specific limbs and the glories of the specific limbs. So it is even more beautiful and more attractive meditation. Okay, so Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Thank you, Prabhu.